We are live, folks. This episode is going to be a weird one. This is going to be tough because why is this going to be tough? The title of the show is "It's Okay to Not Be Okay: Navigating a Tech Layoff with Compassion and Recovery Tips." Kudos to Shala for coming up with that one. That's a great title.
You want to know a secret?
Yeah, tell me. Did you ChatGPT it?
No, I didn't. Even better. Okay, anyone that knows me knows I've been watching Korean dramas since 2003. This is a Korean drama title.
This is a Korean drama title? I don't know. Explain that. What do you mean? There's a title of a Korean drama called "It's Okay to Not Be Okay: Navigating a Tech Layoff with Compassion and Recovery."
Well, why is the subtitle? But it's okay to not be okay. Yeah, it's a K-drama.
Wow. Okay. Well, I am glad that you're watching a lot of Korean dramas because that's going to help us out in the future for these kinds of titles. Hey, Damien, how are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing really well. Can you all hear me okay?
We can hear you fine. Your audio is fantastic.
Well, I don't have very good lighting where I'm sitting, but hopefully if I keep a white browser screen up in front of me, my monitor will light me enough.
It's all good. It's all good. This is going to be difficult.
It's starting off, but
yeah. Okay, so let's do it this way. We always start off a presentation with why people should listen to us, and usually that's when we talk about our experience and in the technical realm. Like, so I say, hey, I'm Chris Williams, AWS hero. You should listen to me about AWS stuff. Let's tell people why they should listen to us when it comes to layoffs. I'll go first. Hey, everybody. My name is Chris Williams, and I've been laid off a lot. This is TMI. I was a crap employee for well into my 30s, if I'm being perfectly honest. So that happened. And then I, became a better human. I learned to communicate with other adult humans and become more compassionate and empathic and communicative and started becoming a good worker. And then I was still fired again. About 10 years ago, I was fired from a job on my day off, on my birthday, over the telephone, for something that I would still do today to this day. I did something that was morally right and right for the company, and the company fired me for it. So I've been through the ringer when it comes to employment, unemployment, layoffs, and firings. So that's why you should listen to me when it comes to the tips that we're going to talk about. Shala, go.
Not your birthday.
That is a story to be told over drinks.
Okay.
Your turn.
Sounds like a person-to-person conversation, not something to be
100%.
Posted on YouTube.
Oh, I will name and shame. I'm just not going to do it in this episode.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay, so yes, I have been laid off before. It sucked. What happened with me was I had just had my year-end review, got glowing remarks, and the question at one point at the end of it was, what's something you would like? And I said a raise. I mean, we just gave me glowing remarks, so give me some more money, right?
Yeah, all right. No.
Just saying, right? So
yeah, totally.
about a week or a couple weeks after that, and I knew it was something. It was Friday afternoon, last day of the month. Someone walks over to me and they're like, right before it's time for me to get off, they're just like, hey, can you hang back? And I was like, it's about to be some stuff, right? And sure enough, I walk into, the room or whatever, and, everyone's there. And anyways, they start off with, okay, you asked for a raise. We're going to help you. We're going to help you double or even quadruple your salary by letting you go today. And also, by the way, your healthcare ends today. And I was young, so my instant reaction was a bunch of explicatives,
How did they we're going to help you by laying you off and getting rid of your healthcare.
But I will say, on the flip side of that story, fast forward, I ended up coming in contact with that person a little bit later. And they asked how it was going. And I was like, you know what? I have to actually thank you, because I did, in fact, double my salary. So I guess it worked, but I was definitely still salty.
I mean, okay, Damien, your turn.
Yeah. Hi, Damian Carlson. So I recently was laid off by Broadcom when they acquired VMware. And honestly, it was one of the best things that could have happened to me, because the acquisition had been in limbo for so long that I feel like a lot of the company stopped doing anything productive, because why would you when the future is unknown?
Right.
And I was already very burned out with my job, and being laid off gave me the freedom to, once I got through the mourning process, the 7 stages of grief and all that, right? Like once I got through that, I actually realized like, wow, there are things that I still really love about technology, and I was able to find a passion again that I thought that I had lost, which was super surprising to me and made me very giddy in the moment when I realized I still really like this, like it's not just some nonsense
fun.
Right. Like, at a certain point, sometimes it's like, well, it all pays the same, or direct deposits on Friday, but actually like enjoying working with technology reminded me of how it used to feel, so that's why you should listen to me. I've been there and back again.
Sounds good. All right, Roger. Good evening, sir. How you doing?
I'm well. Good to see all of you again.
Yeah.
Wow. So I've been only laid off once, and it was.
It's not a contest. Once is enough.
I know, but I'm just trying to recall it in my head, because mine happened so very similar to Shala's, where everything was great. Got glowing reviews and everything. They even took us out to lunch, and right after lunch, we went back to the office, and I was sitting there. I was actually studying for my an exam one time. And the HR guy comes over and he knocks on the glass and he goes, "Hey, can I see you for a minute?" And I was like, and I said jokingly, "Should I bring my laptop with me?" And he goes, "Yes." And I was like, "What?" So went into the HR office, and they said, they were downsizing and everything. So they gave me a nice little package. So I felt, it was at that time I just basically thanked them for everything, and then left. Because there's really, at that point, there's really nothing I could do. So.
Yeah,
but that's probably the only story I have right now, ever. I don't want to know.
Well, it's like I said, it's not a contest. I don't want to be. Nobody wants to be the winner of the most layoff belt.
Right.
So what? Since 2023, things have been kind of crappy in the world of tech, and there's been a lot of layoffs with Apple, Twitter, AWS, our own personal layoffs. There's been a lot of people that have been talking about this, and a lot of people that have been asking questions around, like coming to me on DMs and stuff and saying, "Hey, I just got laid off. What should I do?" And from my psychology background, I dipped into the old coping mechanisms and strategies and stuff, and I came up with this deck. Damien, it's almost like you've already seen it, because I've actually, what I've done is I've broken this deck down into 3 sections: mental care, financial care, and physical care. And I'm gonna bring it up in a second here, and then as we're going through it, what would be great is if the folks in the audience, if this resonates with you and you have some stories that you want to share with us, then we would love to hear those too. But we all have a mountain of things and examples. So here goes. Is everybody ready?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I started off with mental care, and the top thing when folks called me up and said, hey, I just got laid off. What do I do? I said, well, the first thing you need to do is you need to give yourself a break. You need to figure out how to process, how to go through, the stages of grief. I think there's 4. I don't think it's 7, but I could be wrong. If they might have added more since I got my psychology degree. It's been a while.
Babe, wake up! A new grief just dropped.
We got to check this one out. A new way to process.
Yes.
Because a lot of what we do in IT and tech is we make our role our identity. And we become the thing. Hey, I'm Chris Williams, enterprise architect. Oh, no, you're not. You just got fired. Oh, shit. What am I now? Am I just like a has-been loser? You've got to not wrap yourself up in what a role. I mean, your job is not your life. Your life is everything that happens around your job, and your job just happens to pay for it. So you've got to give yourself time to process and grieve the loss of the job, and reconnect with like the people in your life that you might have been, if you're grinding out 12 hours a day, then you haven't talked to your friends and family in a long time. Yeah. And now is a really good time to, get back into that. You know what? Would it be better to just put all these up at the same time?
Yes.
Just like bring up the whole list.
Yes.
Yeah,
but
okay,
that first point is exactly what made me instantly think of the title. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that, don't feel guilty about being mad. Don't feel ashamed about being cynical about late stage capitalism in America. Because when you hear the news that 21,000 people have been laid off from AWS, you kind of shit your pants. You're like, oh crap, what's happening? But then on the flip side of that, I'm seeing people, yes, they're not necessarily, they got laid off from Amazon, but all of the folks that I know that have been looking for positions, they find stuff fairly quickly if they're looking. I mean, if they're, I mean, and we'll go through some of the strategies for like, getting back into the swing of things. But it's not going to be with the FANG, because the FANGs are shedding everybody. But the SMBs and the enterprises that you don't see on the front page of magazines, those are the ones that are scooping up these people, usually around the same pay scale too. So thoughts, comments, ideas? Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. Sorry, Shelley, you go.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I think it also helps to understand the context of the layoff, right? Like if Broadcom acquired VMware and only laid off me, that would suck. Right?
That Damien guy, get rid of him.
Right. But when, like a significant fraction of a 35,000 person company gets let go on the same day, it's like, well, that's the way it rolls. Like you win some, you lose some, right?
Yeah.
And so I think dealing with that, like if I had been the only person laid off in the acquisition, it might have been a lot different for me to process than to be like, wow, more than half of my own team was impacted, more than probably 90% of my organization was impacted, right? Like it was big, and it continues to go, right? Like, anyways, I don't want to get off track with that, but allowing yourself to process is super important. And I think the context of the layoff plays a part in that.
That's a good point. Cause I've been where, say like where I got laid off was just singular me. So that hit really hard. And I had never had that happen before. It's actually the only time I've been laid off. So I was just like, I felt like I had failed, like I had did something wrong. And I don't know, I was just lost for a while. And I had to process that. And then I've also seen where a large company I worked for, within like a matter of minutes, laid off over like 2,000 people inside of a auditorium. And that was something else. So that's a good point that Damien's making. It can hit differently. It's one thing, say like if it was, say when I got laid off, if others had got laid off with me and be like, oh, I'm not the only one, versus it was just me that day.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of that, there is the survivor's guilt of the people that weren't laid off. Because Roger and I went through I was there. Yeah. I mean, it's a little too close to name names on that one, but it was tough watching all of your friends. I mean, people that you've been working with for a long time, and then trying to scramble to help them find something new, and walking them through what we're going to talk about today, so. Allow yourself to process, maintain a routine.
Yes.
Seek support, stay positive. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here. If anybody wants to speak to anything in particular, my things were, do enjoyable activities and continue learning. I think that it's really important to keep those hobbies going, to not stay, holed up in your room and like just beating yourself down. I mean, continue looking. I mean, we'll get into the financial stuff too. Continue looking for jobs and everything, but you've got time off. It's involuntary time off, but leverage it. Don't go on a lavish vacation, but do that thing that you wanted to do. If you wanted to go axe throwing at the local bowling alley and you never did it before, then go do things that you're going to still find enjoyable. What else do you guys think?
So one of the things that when it happened to me, my big thing was staying positive about it, because it's easy to, like Damien was saying, hey, if it was just me, then I could probably take it personal. But if it's several others that went out, you don't know what the organization's thinking, so we don't care about what the organization thinks. What you need to do is think about what you're thinking, how you're thinking and processing about yourself, because it's easy to say, oh, I suck, and, get very negative on yourself. And then you stop doing those enjoyable activities. You stop the learning, and you get to the point where you do get depressed and now nothing's happening, and you're at a standstill. So staying positive is extremely important. And I just want to bring up something, because Al Rashid said something inside the chat. Be sure to reach out to your friends and family and let them know how much you love them, and as much as possible. That support from your family and from your friends is extremely important to maintaining that positivity.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think one other thing that I would maybe add here is kind of touching on the mental care. Maybe try to implement a practice of meditation or yoga or exercise or something like that, because that will definitely help with your mental state. Our internal voice is the meanest person we know.
Yep.
And pretty often we don't disagree with whatever insane nonsense that person is saying, right? And it's like if I followed Chris around and I was like, you're too tall, you're too bald, your beard's too long, Chris would be like, you can never speak to me again, please. Right? But maybe that's what his internal voice says every time he walks into a cabinet up high or something. Hits a low-hanging branch on his walk, like I do. But I guess that goes to kind of the staying positive, right? Is maybe try to do something new as well. Like if you don't have a meditation practice, just sit and exist and breathe and let your thoughts go unexamined, right? Like just try it. It might be something that you enjoyed. It might help you get through the tough parts.
Yes.
It's almost like you got a sneak preview of the deck, Damien.
That's why I'm laughing. I was trying to hold that for the other slide, but yes.
Well, he's absolutely right.
Yes.
Mental care it's not it doesn't live in a silo, right? It's
right.
Yeah.
No, it absolutely. I mean, you're taking care of yourself physically is taking care of yourself mentally, because getting that endorphin rush, making sure that you continue going to the gym and everything. That's super, super important. All right, what I wanted to do is I wanted to give us like 15 minutes per section because each one of these is like equally important. But so let's flip over to financials. And one of the first things, make sure I get all of them out. One of the first things, like whenever Chris gets fired, this is what I do. So buckle in, folks. The first thing that you have to do is immediately file for benefits. Yes. Whichever state you're in, the day that you're laid off, regardless of if they give you a severance or whatever like that, you have to file for benefits because that process is super slow and super ridiculous. And depending upon your state, you're going to get a little bit or you're going to get a little bit more, but it's never going to be what you were making before. Trust me. Right. So it's going to take like 5 weeks for you to see that first penny of the unemployment benefits. And for the folks out there that have a sense of pride, I've talked to people that have said, "Oh, I would never take unemployment benefits," and I'm like, "That's literally your money. Like that's money you put into the system so that if you get laid off, you have a safety net for yourself. So you're not taking anybody's money or living off the government teat or whatever thing you think that is. It's your money. You might as well use it." Yeah.
That's a fair point because when I got laid off, my boyfriend at the time was instantly like, "Oh, well, you could go file for unemployment." I was like, no, I don't need to do that. Someone else needs that more than me, blah, 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 whatever. And he was like, "Don't you pay taxes?" And I was like, "Yes, it's your money. Go get it." And so I did, and I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
It was very helpful.
So the next phase after that is once you file for unemployment and gotten that thing rolling, and that process is onerous. Kim went through it at the beginning of the pandemic because she was a salon owner, and so that whole process is a giant pain in the butt, but it's worth it because you get money at the end of it. But then assess your finances. Make a list of all the money that comes in and make a list of all the money that comes out. Go through your credit card line item by line item and find all of those things that you forgot that you paid for. That $15 a month Crunchyroll subscription that I keep forgetting to cancel and I haven't used in 3 months. Get rid of all that stuff. Do not what's that advertisement? Rocket Wallet?
Rocket Money.
Rocket Money. Don't do that. Don't pay money to somebody else to then tell you what to stop spending. Take the time to go through all of that because Rocket Money is making money off of telling you how to save money, and that's ridiculous. You should know where your own finances are going. And then obviously,
maybe they could pay us and we could say cancel Spotify. Have you canceled Spotify, Roger? Right? Right. I mean, we could, give me $5.
Yes. You give the four of us, your dear listener who's listening to this in the future, give us your money. We will tell you how to kill.
That's a new business.
That was just a really good guess that have Spotify. Thank you.
Wow. Yo, we should get some sponsor money off of this. Not from Rocket Money. We've already burnt that bridge, but we could hit up everybody else.
Well, they just raised the rate. Spotify did, and that's one of my recurring things, right? It's like, anyways.
I'm locked into this old $5 for Spotify and Hulu grandfathered account that they gave away at the very, very, very beginning, and I can never change it ever because I'm locked into it.
That's awesome.
All right, and as far as financial care goes, if there's volunteer work, yes, that's obviously volunteer work and that's free, but volunteer work I have found to lead to opportunities. Mm-hmm. When you're out there doing some work, freelancing is great, extra cheddar on the side. If you can get some freelancing, then obviously do that first because that's dollars in. But if you can't, then go do some volunteer work because you're gonna meet a lot of other people out there in the volunteer space that can then help you with opportunities. And we're gonna get more into some additional tips on how to go out into the community and figure out one of the best things about going to a meetup is there's always at least 5 or 6 people there that are looking for people to hire. Our meetup, the AWS Portsmouth user group, has a jobs board that gets posted to regularly for local positions. So in your area, dear listener, if you're here in the future and you've been laid off, get your butt to meetups in your technology space and in the technology space that you want to be in. If you're excited about something and you want to get into it, go to that one too. Get rid of your imposter syndrome, or at least tamp it down long enough to show up, and then start talking to people about the thing that excites you that you're terrified to touch because you don't have a job, might as well. You don't have anything to lose.
Right.
All right. Any other comments on financials? There's so many here. Shala, you're like the financial wizard. Yeah, I know you got a bunch.
God. You already know. But yeah, I was gonna say on the freelance part, what's good about that is there's definitely been times, and I think matter of fact during the time when I had got laid off, because since I did get unemployment and I started feeling good about that, I used that unemployment money and said, you know what? This is supposed to last me for 6 months. So I'm going to take my time looking for the next job and be picky about who I want to work for. And so I also didn't want to have a gap on my resume. So I started freelancing. I literally started up my own Geek Squad locally. It had a completely different name, but what I did was I provided that type of service to small businesses around town. And then I was able to put that on my resume a certain way to where it's just like, yeah, there's no gap. I was doing stuff.
And you positioned yourself as a go-getter entrepreneur instead of, yeah, exactly. No, that's magic.
And it helped me set up a business model for if something were to ever happen, I just turn it back on again. So, yeah.
And I guess part of the assess your finances is, I mean, the premise of this show is you've just been laid off. But for the folks that are listening that are employed, that you know, this could happen to you in the future, 6 months of savings. Make sure that you've got hard cash socked away, not in the market, not in a bond, 6 months of savings that you can help to pay your bills, because there's nothing worse than like having, no gas in the tank and all of a sudden you got to drive cross country.
Yeah. No, that's where I can start spending like hours. That's like a whole other discussion because
Diversify your bonds, folks. What?
Yeah, I would say that no judgment, but folks should already be doing this, right? Like, part of the reason why being laid off for me personally was not just a crisis event was I had time, Broadcom announced the acquisition and then due to a variety of different factors weren't able to close it for a long time, and my wife and I had already been, we plan well, right? Like we do annual budgets, we do all this stuff, right? So, waiting until you get laid off to be like, oh, wow, I should look at what I'm spending. Mm-hmm. That's a great time to start. But a greater time to start is before then, right? It's like, when's the best time to plant a tree? Like years ago or right now, right? Like, and also if you have the time during your layoff, look at the other responsibilities that you have. Like if you need to update your will, or if you need to establish a will, check your beneficiaries, right? Like make sure that your loved one has access to your passwords, right? Like you can do all these things since you have the time and the space, theoretically, to get your life in order, so your next step can be one that you can take freely without dragging this to-do list around behind you.
You know what? Yeah. Well, one thing that I forgot to add on here, but Damien, you just totally nailed it. Talk to your spouse. Yeah. Like
yes, talk to your spouse.
The scenario here is you've been laid off. Right. You need to let them know. One, you need to let them know. Two, both of you need to sit down and like the assess your finances, file for benefits, cut expenses, that is a team effort. That
Right.
has to be everybody in the house, not just one person working on this, because I know a lot of people that the breadwinner is not on the same page as the other person, and this can be a very trying time if one person is continuing to live in a lifestyle that they're accustomed to, and there's no money coming in. That's actually in the causing a divorce right now with a friend of mine. so that's something that you absolutely have to do. You have to communicate with your spouse, communicate with the people in the house, so that they understand, what's happening and why there need to be drastic, measurable changes in what's happening. Thank you, Damien.
And then Damien also made me think about too, something I'm constantly telling people currently. If you were in a 401k plan, don't forget you were in that plan, and go put that into your own IRA. And you got to figure out if you're doing Roth or traditional, all these kind of different things or whatever. But what you don't want to do is leave that 401k at your old employer, because one, you just straight up forget about it. Or two, once you're not an employee anymore, depending on the company and how they're set up, you might start having to pay fees out of that nest egg that you were building. You don't want to do that. So
great point. Roger, was there anything that you wanted to add in on for financials?
No, Shala stole mine.
Oh, sorry.
No, but it was a great point though. So just gotta be careful of if you put it in the Roth or the IRA, understand the tax implications of that.
Oh yes, we could do a whole bunch of episodes on taxes. It's good stuff.
I know. One, no. Two, we're not. I'm not legally implicating anybody. We are not Okay, disclaimer: we are not financial consultants. Do not listen to us about anything. Period.
No. But I will say that there's having had lawyers and financial counselors and CPAs in my past, they love to point the finger at each other. If there was a person that did all three, they would just totally clean house, right? Because they're always like, well, don't ask me, you should talk to your CPA, and the CPA will be like, you should talk to your attorney, right? So bottom line, understand the implications. If you do roll a 401k over to an IRA, understand the post-tax and the pre-tax contribution implications and what it means moving forward. And if you were to roll a 401k forward to another employer, what it means in terms of loans or whatever. So it can be very complex.
Yep. And I also see a lot of times, because sometimes it's needed, where, unfortunately you get laid off, rugs pulled from under you, and they end up having to borrow from that 401k.
Right. Yep.
Exactly. All right, so let's get into the last one, which is physical care, as Damien alluded to before.
Yes.
Let's talk about the things that you need to do so like Damien said, this ties in with mental care, because physical care is mental care, and it all is under the self-care routine. Go to the gym. You've still got that Planet Fitness account that you've been spending $10 on. Don't use this as an excuse to get rid of that. Actually use this as an excuse to get your butt back in the gym. Eat healthy. There's nothing easier than feeling sorry for yourself and getting that Ben and Jerry's pint out at 2 a.m. and binge watching old Godzilla movies when you're feeling really crappy about yourself. Don't do that. Sleep. Get this is the perfect time for you to catch up on all that sleep that you couldn't get when you were worried about a job. I mean, now you're worried about not having a job, but still try to get more sleep. and Headspace is free, I think. Isn't Headspace a free app now? There's free sections to it now. So use the Headspace app or Calm.
Yes, you have Headspace and you have Calm. They work great. Yeah. I personally use Calm.
Yeah.
I use Waking Up. That's a really good app. Waking Up. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant literally just waking up in the morning.
No.
I just wake up.
No, Waking Up is more, definitely teaches you the theory of meditation practice, but also a lot of underlying philosophies behind it. And
It looks cool.
yes, and it is not a it's not a spiritual practice, although they do talk and reference kind of the spiritual offshoots of meditation. So anyways,
Nice.
there's a lot of great apps out there.
You know what I like about it? I did a quick Google search, and it speaks to the techie in me. It says waking up, a new operating system for your mind.
Yeah.
So
Just saying.
that's how they get you.
Yep. Yeah, my
Nice.
therapist recommended it to me. So thank you,
Nice.
Tanya. You're amazing.
I've actually used the Waking Up app. Sean Doyle, one of our other co-hosts, he recommended it, and I used it until I moved to HashiCorp. But then HashiCorp offered like a free Headspace account, and so I got rid of my Waking Up account and flipped back over to Headspace. But if that changes, then I'll definitely be moving back to Waking Up because I like that one too. Yeah. Limit alcohol, caffeine, and other. I don't know what state you live in, whether weed is legal there or illegal, but that's not. You don't want to go to extremes on any of those things. You don't want to drink so much coffee that you're jittery and nervous and freaking out, or pushing down your emotions with too much booze or weed or whatever. Moderation in all things. That's what we always preach, and especially during a time when you're emotionally and mentally fragile, it's better to work on, use meditation to like get yourself in a good headspace rather than booze. There's so much more. We're kind of running up on the end of it, but what other like not necessarily mental, physical, or financial? What other things do you think would be valuable to capture in a talk like this?
I was just gonna say, for me, what happened was this: once I got the unemployment benefits, that's when I actually got into the gym. I was one of the ones who didn't have a membership beforehand, but I was like, I have all this time now and I need to like stay active. And so that's when I actually got into the gym, and that's what actually set me down a road of building up a routine and, getting up every day, being active, eating better. I was in like the best like physical condition at that time, and then that's when I actually got back into meditation as well, because it just all led to that. And then like with self-care routine, I still do that today, and it's things like taking time out when you first get up, do all your hygiene things. So it's like brushing your teeth, take your shower, moisturize, like all that kind of stuff. It seems real small, but when you start caring for yourself like that and loving yourself like that, it's just such a big positivity booster. And when I was laid off, it helped me feel better, for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think, it's paradoxically, it's a really good time to like, get back to yourself, because you have all these skills that you've taken from your tech job, where you've learned process and you've learned projects and you've learned all that stuff. Turn that around and use that on yourself. Set a project goal for yourself. I will go to the gym, 4 times a week. I will eat, within my macro constraints, I'll have a cheat day or whatever like that. Use your PM skills that you've learned from your gig, or your architecture skills or whatever. Use that to like set up your self-care routine and your goals and whatnot. You know what? The giveaway. We totally spaced the giveaway. All right. Speaking of self-care, if you are listening in the studio audience and you type in hashtag self-care, type self-care or hashtag self-care. I don't want to type. I'll do it. I'll do it myself, but I'll ignore it if we actually win. To win. So if you type hashtag self-care in the chat window, then you will be in the randomized picker thingy that StreamYard has set up for us to get you free AWS credits. Bum, ba, da, bum. Yay.
That's awesome.
Roger, you're not allowed to put in again. You've already won once. Oh, nice.
There we go.
Bring it up. Disconnect from negative people on social media. Oh, absolutely, Al. Yeah, no. You know what? That's a really, really good point. Get off of social media. If you are if you are on social media, either get really good with your filters and get all the negativity out of there, or better yet, just get off of it completely. Only just connect with the people that you want to.
But what if it's LinkedIn? That was a big downer for me. Was going
LinkedIn?
on LinkedIn and seeing just when I was burned out, right? It was just like, I don't care. Why is everyone talking about things that are stupid, right? Like it was, it was very different for me. Getting off of Twitter, fine. That's legit. But like,
yeah,
if it's a social media that's important to your professional livelihood, like how would you navigate that?
So I use LinkedIn. So I post the vBrownBag stuff, and we're live streaming to LinkedIn right now. But honestly, the only time that I use LinkedIn is when I'm posting informative stuff, or I'm trying to connect with people in a particular company. So I don't generally read the posts or the feeds, but I've got some good folks that like generate a lot of like good content for like learning stuff. So I do watch it for that. But I just kind of leverage LinkedIn more as a tool. I don't see it as like a social. I don't click on the links or read people's opinions on recent articles or whatever like that, because I don't care. I don't care what Bob from Idaho thinks about the most recent Tesla layoffs.
Sorry, Bob.
Yeah, sorry, Bob. Well, he had a bad take on it anyway, so screw Bob. So I leverage LinkedIn as a employment or human connectivity tool. I don't leverage it as a keep up with my friends kind of thing. When I want to keep up with my friends, 9 times out of 10, we've either got a Discord channel together or a Slack channel together, and I don't DM folks on Twitter unless they're like once removed folks or something. I usually try to like get a better connection with them that's not social media related, because social media is now so fractured and so disgusting. Honestly, there's so much porn on Twitter now. I mean, I go to Twitter to post stuff, but I can't even look through the feed. It's just ugh. Anyway, yeah, get off social media. It's just gonna drag you down. That's all I got to say about that.
Anyways, you can follow all of us on Twitter.
Meanwhile,
have y'all played with Perplexity AI yet?
Yes.
Holy mackerel!
Cool.
I am blown away at how good of a search engine that is. Unless you're actually looking for a link. If you're looking for a link to a page, then it stinks. But if you're playing with Perplexity, it gives you like great resources. And the Arc browser, which is what I'm using right now. All right. Are we done?
Yeah. So the 3 times that vBrownBag posted that hashtag won't count. Is that correct?
If it does, then we will ignore it, and we will pick somebody else. We're not going to give it to ourselves. We've already we got 6 entries. What are you doing? Oh my goodness. Beep has gone bananas. All right, I'm gonna do the drawing. Oh, it did it did do all the vBrownBag.
So vBrownBag wins.
Yay!
Draw again. I think we lost everybody.
No.
Yay! Awesome.
Alina. All right. Yay, Alina. So Alina won. Alina, if you would DM me on YouTube, I will get you that information. And congratulations on winning tonight's giveaway stream. Huzzah.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
All right. Was there any final thoughts? I mean, there's folks out there that are going to watch this in the future that are going to say, "Hey, you forgot to talk about this," and I can't, for the life of me, think of anything that I haven't covered. But I know that that's going to happen. It always does.
Write us in the comments, and we will write back.
You know what? This is why you're the best social media person amongst us. Mention this in the comments that what we forgot, and we will get back to you.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, be kind to yourself. If you've been laid off, don't get down. I mean, trust me, things seem really, really bleak. Oh, exactly. Adopt a cat, because you need another mouth.
I did.
Ow.
I did. When I got laid off, a cat showed up at my house. I put all my love into that kitten.
That's the cat distribution system of the universe working for you.
It is. Yep.
And when I got hired, the cat left.
Yep.
What?
Cat moved on to another job. It's like, I'm here.
5 minutes later.
I'm good. Okay, you're good. All right, I'm out.
Someone else needs me better. Needs me more. Cat distribution system. I love it.
Be kind to yourselves. If you're going through this right now, I'm sorry. Please reach out to us. We have a lot of connections in the community. We would love to get you guys hooked up. People hooked up with other folks in your area. Between the four of us, we know a lot of people in the community. So if you're seeing this and you have reached out to us on LinkedIn, we'd be glad to connect you with somebody or make some recommendations on what you can do to get yourself into a good mental space.
Absolutely. Don't hesitate to do that. Because don't forget, like, you're not alone. Definitely reach out. And like the title says, it's okay to not be okay. And to just process that. Like, for the first few days, I actually binged Game of Thrones. That's when I started watching.
Yeah, it's a great time to catch up on all the TV shows. There's a bunch of shows I'd love to watch.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, folks. Well, Alina, please, I had to scroll back up through the chat to make sure. Alina, please reach out to me and I'll get you your code for your compute credits. And everybody else, have a wonderful evening, and we will see you again next week. All right. Bye.